So, after learning about Chinese history for a semester, what have you taken away from the course?
Well, we've learned a lot about Chinese history and the dynasties and such, but one thing that really stuck out from learning all this, it actually reminded me of a Chinese proverb, I guess you would say. Basically, it says that wealth never passes the third generation, and it basically means where, like, the first generation, the people would work really hard. They start off poor, they work really hard, and they become wealthy.
Okay.
Then their children, the second generation, they hear stories about how their parents, the first generation, they were really poor, and because of that, they also work really hard. And then the third generation, the children of the second generation, their lives are actually a lot more, I guess you would say, comfortable, wealthy. Mm-hmm. So they think that they don't really need to work as hard. I guess you could say that good things will always be there, I guess. So after that, then because it's probably like that wealth never passes third generation. At the third generation, or if it happens to go up to the fourth, the wealth kind of disappears from the family.
Okay, so how does this, what is an example of this in China's history?
Well, when we started learning about Chinese history, this first came up when we were learning about the Song Dynasty with the last Song king, his name was Zhou Xing, and basically after I guess his previous generations, they were ruling the country, they created writing, domesticated animals, civilizations, agriculture and everything, but then he was kind of different. What he wanted to do, he dug up a big lake full of wine, an island full of meat where concubines lived, and basically he lived a wealthy life and didn't really care about what was going on around him. And this is probably the best example of this Chinese proverb because the people, they were living in kind of a hell. Everything was horrible around them. And then there was when the culture and people heard about his kingdom and how he was ruling, and that this guy went, basically he didn't want to take over Zhou Xing's kingdom, but he ruled his own little castle area, and then his son Wu, he claimed that since Tian has disagreed with you, and he claimed the mandate of heaven and took over Zhou Xing's kingdom, and then people started had a prosperous life.
So in that case, you're saying that beyond the third generation in a dynasty, things start to collapse and it'll eventually lead to their demise?
Pretty much, because with Zhou Xing, who was the last, we don't know what generation he was, but it's definitely after 3. And because he was very corrupt, his empire died. Then we start with the Western Zhou, and there was Wen, Wu, and the Duke of Zhou, and then when Wu's son, who was too young to rule at the time, so the Duke of Zhou came over.
Are there any other examples of this happening in China's history?
Well, this actually happens at the end of the Zhou, where the king, we actually never learned his name, but we referred to him as the king who cried wolf, because apparently the story goes that he had not like a wife, but there was a concubine who he thought was really beautiful, and he wanted to make her smile. I think that's how the story went. And one time when he called all his
he called the militia, right?
Yeah,
so it's called the thieves.
He called all the thieves to send in their militia because apparently the barbarians, the Mongols, were attacking. And apparently this made this concubine smile. This event, we're calling all the troops in, and he was really happy. So he would fake these, like, oh, the Mongols are coming, and then the militia would come, find out nothing was actually going on. And as the Boy Who Cried Wolf story goes, when the king called for them again, when the Mongols really were attacking, the fiefs didn't send in their troops, and the empire was destroyed. So here's another example where the king doesn't really do anything they think things are going to be perfect all the time, and the dynasty kind of crumbled.
Is this the case for all dynasties or just most? Or is it a part of why they fall?
Well, with everything, there are exceptions. Like, I'm pretty sure with, I'm talking about families now, I'm pretty sure with families, wealth can go past the third generation, but this probably, I think, is really just to tell people, like, don't get complacent, I guess, and that everything may not be good all the time, so you need to, like, stay alert and keep working hard. And it's true, and it serves as a warning. So yes. And actually now, modern day, with the more recent, after Mao dying and power in the Communist Party passing on, traditionally they've had really good, smooth transitions of passing along power. But recently, with everything that's been going on with the Communist Party, people are starting to question, like, if this next transition of power will work. So I guess this is another way to see, like, wealth passed on to the third generation, because I think this is the third transition of power.
Yeah, it would make sense.
Yeah. So we don't know, like, could this apply here? It's too soon to tell. Like, power hasn't passed along yet, but never know. So, thank you for interviewing me.
You're welcome. Hi, Mr. Bro.